So today we're going to start off by logging into the InterTalk console engine via the login screen. So first of all, I'm going to enter my password and username. I hit enter. Now here we have the available roles. So within the InterTalk console engine, you're able to generate various roles with various features. So we're going to log in using the dispatcher, what we call a dispatcher role. For the dispatcher role, you're able to create different layouts. So here we just have a default layout for the dispatcher. We're going to log in, and we access the main InterTalk console engine screen. So here, what you'll see are a variety of buttons and tabs and spaces which form the InterTalk console engine. On the top level, we have the console name, the role, and the user. In this case, it's the InterTalk user. We have the ILS the system is connected to, the time, the date, and a number of buttons, including the logout. These buttons are all configurable. They can be moved around, they can be removed, they can be added, and they can be reassigned. On the lower portion of the screen, you'll see a number of other buttons that have been added for this layout. Each button does different things. They can be moved around, resized, color can be changed, and they can be reconfigured. In the main area of the screen, we have a number of tabs, starting with Active. Your Active tab is where you work. It's where you drop things in and remove things. Other tabs contain various resources or things that you're able to activate or use. Also on the main screen, we have the incoming call queue, which is over here on the left-hand side, labeled incoming. So within this queue, incoming calls, telephone calls that enter the system will appear. And then below that, we have the calls history. In this case, it's showing the current calls that are active in the system. So from here, you'll see calls that are active on other consoles. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to activate a resource to your Active tab, and we'll discuss those resources and what they look like. So on this layout, we have three tabs that contain resources that you can activate, labeled primary, secondary, and monitor. That's what they're called on this layout. You can call them whatever you want. So under secondary, let's activate a standard radio. I did that by clicking the Activate button on the resource. I go back to my Active tab, and I see the radio resource. So this radio resource is called System 2 RLI1. You're able to change the names of these resources and what they appear. The resource is displayed in what's called a common resource block, or a crib. The crib, in this case, for a standard radio, contains some core elements. First of all, it contains a volume control. If you click on this button here, it opens the volume control and audio routing for this crib. Here it shows a volume slider where you're able to adjust the volume for this individual radio resource. You're able to mute the radio resource or unmute. And you're also able to change where the receive audio is being routed to. On this system, when we activated it, the default routing takes the audio to speaker number 2. But the user is able to change to any of the other speakers in the system. In this case, there are 4 speakers, with speaker 1 also assigned to the console headset. If I click that, then the audio is being routed, the receive audio is being routed through the headset earpieces. You'll notice that the routing is updated on the crib through this icon over here. If I close the audio control, next to it is a setting window. If I click on that, it allows me to open up some different controls for the crib. The first one is disable, where I'm able to actually disable the radio receive. Repeat, I can place the radio into repeat if I want to, or I can release the crib from the active tab. If I do that, it clears, it's gone away, and it's returned to the secondary tab. So I'm just going to activate that one again. I can move the crib around anywhere in the screen. Above the controls are the transmit button. From here, if I click here, I'm able to instant transmit from this console on that system. I can also see what's going on in the system. This area here, which is the PTT window, is showing the activity on the system. Whether or not we're transmitting, where it would show red, or if it's receiving, and it's showing blue. Additionally, right now the radio resource is unselected. I can select that radio resource by clicking over here, select. Now the radio resource is selected. If I transmit from my master transmit, the audio goes out, and I can see the transmit level in my lower right-hand corner in the VU meter. All right, let's just release that. All right. Another radio resource that you can activate is the voter. So I've gone to my primary, which lists all the voters in this system, and I've activated this crib for a voter. The voter contains a lot more information than your standard crib, but also contains a lot of the key elements. The PTT window, showing information going on in the system for this resource, the master transmit button for the crib, the audio routing, the audio controls, and the controls for the voter. Below, it now lists the sites assigned to this voter. This voter has 3 sites, and the colors of this indicator on each site indicate what's going on with the voter, whether or not it's receiving, whether it's voted, steered to, and so on. If I click on the audio routing, we have the same audio controls, volume, mute, and the ability to route the receive audio for the voter to various locations or various speakers. Voter controls have a lot more functionality. We have the disable, repeat, and release functionality of the standard crib, but now we have the ability to release the vote, to release the steer, to set the vote site, to set the steer to site, set an alternate repeat site, set an alternate home site, and to switch between transmitter steering mode and simulcast mode. Additionally, we can monitor a radio resource. From the secondary tab, I activated a standard crib, but now in monitor mode. Monitor mode allows the same audio controls and the ability to release, but now this radio resource is just being monitored. There's no transmit functionality. So let's go over some of the buttons and functionality that are on the screen. So from a radio resource tab, I'm going to activate a radio resource that we can play with. On this radio resource, Once we have the radio resource in place, we can select a resource using the select button, unselect it. Using multi-select, you can actually select multiple radios. So let's do that. Here I have 2 radios I've activated. I hit multi-select, and I can select both of them. Both of them are selected. Once I have things that are selected, I can then transmit using various methods of transmit. The Transmit All button is the master transmit button for the console GUI, and it will transmit on anything that's selected. Transmit Override, it's a supervisory feature which allows you to override the transmit audio on a resource if somebody else is using it. Once I have this in place, I can also create a patch. I can press the Create Patch button, which allows me to create a patch for the system. So I have these 2 radio resources. I'd like to patch them together. I add them to my patch, exit setup, and now I have these 2 radio resources controlled in a patch. I can save this patch, I can release it, I can place this patch on hold, or I can pick it back up. I also have the same audio controls. I can route the audio for the patch where I want to. I can mute it, change the volume. I can transmit using the various sources, and then release it. All right, some other buttons we have here. Over here in the lower right-hand corner, we have this master setting button, which shows the audio controls for the speakers and for the headset. In this case, it tells me the headset 2 is plugged in, and I have 4 speakers. And I can control the volume of each of these speakers via this interface, including the headset. I can mute the headset if I want, or unmute it. Below in the lower right-hand corner, we also have the view meter, which shows transmit level and receive level for anything that is selected. Receive audio level will show receive audio that's coming in. And when I select something and transmit, you can see my voice is now coming out in the transmit. Okay, so let's show a telephone call coming into the system. So on the left-hand side of the console, we have the incoming call queue. This is where incoming calls will show up in the system. So let's initiate an incoming call. It shows up as an incoming call, and then from here you can answer from the incoming call. Once answered, the telephone dialer opens up and allows you to control the phone call. From here, we can use XFIR to transfer the call to another console if we wanted to. We can place the call on hold, or we can release the call. From the dialer, we can also dial a new number. We could redial the last number dialed, or we can initiate a flash, a hook flash, if that's part of the system. Okay, so let's show some additional features of the system. I've already shown we have 3 radio resources tab. We can add others if we'd like. We also have a configuration tab, which allows you to change the password, select your side tone volume, turn some features on and off, and route the enunciations to various different speakers. We also have the ability to set auxiliary inputs and outputs. On the aux.io tab, we have one test output where we're able to click and activate an auxiliary output. Using the Macros tab, you're able to set up automated features or automated tasks on the system. So one thing that we can do is we can listen to the last bit of recorded audio on the console using the IRR. The Instant Recall Recorder is activated using the IRR button. From here, we see the audio that was recorded in the 4 audio streams of the system. The system has 4 audio streams labeled as speaker 1, 2, 3, and 4. Various audio will show up. We're able to go to that audio, play the audio, pause, fast forward, reverse, slow down the pitch, accelerate the pitch, loop, route the audio to various speakers where we want to hear it, pause the receive audio, and see where it is on the various different speakers. The system also allows you to send pages using our tone encoder. If you click on the tone encoder button, it opens the tone encoder window, which allows you to construct a page. You can select the type. You can enter the digits, correct them. You can select the channel you want to send your page out on. You can send the page. You can stop. You can add the page to a stack. You can save that stack, clear it, or send it. So this feature here allows you to build pages and is typically used with customers who don't page very often.